Not the cheap ones, not the rehearsed ones. I'm talking about the compliments that go beyond the surface. The kind that speaks to her soul and makes her feel like you see her, the real her. Because here's the truth. A woman doesn't fall in love with your words. She falls in love with how your words make her feel. And here's a thing you must never forget. Women don't fall for grand gestures alone. They fall for consistency, presence, and words that reflect true perception. The right compliment, spoken with sincerity, can unlock a woman's heart in ways you can't imagine. But only if it's real, only if it's intentional, and only if it's spoken by a man who truly sees her. Want her to fall for you? See her, and tell her what you see. Let's talk about something that most men get wrong, but when done right, it melts her walls and touches something deep inside her. Compliments. Not the cheap ones. Not the rehearsed ones. I'm talking about the compliments that go beyond the surface. The kind that speaks to her soul and makes her feel like you see her, the real her. Because here's the truth. A woman doesn't fall in love with your words. She falls in love with how your words make her feel. And when you give a compliment that makes her feel understood, seen, safe, or appreciated in ways that others overlook, you step into a part of her mind and heart that most men never reach. She may smile when someone tells her she's pretty, but her heart lights up when someone tells her she's powerful. She may thank someone for saying she looks nice, but she remembers the man who said he loves how her mind works because that man paid attention. That man wasn't looking for something in return. He was simply telling her a truth that maybe she'd been waiting her whole life to hear. And that is rare. That kind of compliment doesn't just build attraction, it builds emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy is the very thing that creates the kind of bond that makes a woman want to open up, invest, and lean in. See, when you give her a compliment that speaks to who she is, not just what she looks like, you stand out. Most men chase validation through compliments, but the few who give validation, the kind that comes from really seeing her, those are the ones who live in her mind rent-free. A woman remembers what made her feel beautiful, not just on the outside, but on the inside. She remembers who reminded her that she was more than a body, more than a role, more than someone who's just nice to look at. And when you remind her of that, you're not just being kind, you're making a connection. There's a softness that comes over a woman when she feels seen. It's subtle. Her voice changes. Her eyes linger a little longer. She laughs a little more freely, and she begins to relax in your presence. That's when she starts to feel. That's when the guard comes down, because you made her feel safe without asking her to be. You didn't need her to do anything. You didn't compliment her because you wanted something. You did it because it was true. And that truth has power. Because when a compliment is rooted in presence, when it's rooted in observation, when it's rooted in respect, it doesn't fade with time. It stays with her. It echoes. She thinks about it when she's alone. She replays it in her mind and wonders how you noticed what others missed. And little by little, she associates you with clarity, with warmth, with trust. That's how emotional attraction begins. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's slow, gentle, intentional. That's what compliments should be. Not lines, not tactics, just moments of truth. You want her to fall, speak to the part of her that the world overlooks. Compliment the fire in her belly, the calm in her spirit, the light in her laughter. Tell her the things she suspects about herself but is still afraid to fully believe. And do it without expectation, do it without performance, do it with presence. That's what makes her heart turn toward you without even realizing it. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not your car, not your clothes, not your charm. Your ability to see her in a world where most people just look. That's what opens her. That's what pulls her closer. That's what makes her fall. You're not just saying she's smart. You're saying you notice the way she thinks, how she processes the world around her, how she takes in information and creates something new with it. You're showing her that her intelligence isn't intimidating, it's captivating. And for a lot of women, this kind of compliment lands deeply because so often their minds are overlooked. People see the hair, the skin, the curves, but few take the time to truly notice how her thoughts flow. When you say you love how her mind works, you're giving her the space to be fully intellectual, without apology. You're saying you respect her insight, her point of view, her opinions, and more than that, you enjoy them. That's a rare space for a woman to be in, because it means she doesn't have to shrink her ideas to fit into a conversation. She doesn't have to filter her intelligence to protect your ego. She doesn't have to prove herself just to be heard. With you, she gets to be fully expressed. And when a woman feels that kind of freedom, her attraction deepens. Because she starts to see you not just as someone who listens, but someone who truly understands, someone who finds beauty in her thoughts, not just her appearance. There's something incredibly intimate about a man who listens closely, not just waiting for his turn to talk, but actually absorbing what she's saying. A man who remembers the details, who asks follow-up questions, who reflects her thoughts back to her in a way that makes her feel seen. When you love how her mind works, you're not just giving her a compliment. You're stepping into a deeper level of connection, and that connection builds trust. She starts to feel like she can tell you things she doesn't tell anyone else. Not because you pried it out of her, but because you created the kind of space where her thoughts are honored, where her words matter. That's not just attractive, it's addictive, because in a world that's constantly asking women to be less, you're giving her permission to be more thoughtful, more curious, more expressive, and that brings out a side of her that maybe even she forgot existed. She starts to think differently around you. She challenges herself more. She opens up. And when she opens up intellectually, emotional intimacy naturally follows. That's the path to something real. That's how trust turns into desire. Because the truth is, a woman's mind is where everything begins. Her feelings, her imagination, her passion. When you compliment that part of her, you're lighting a fire that reaches far beyond the physical. You're telling her that you're not just here for the surface level version of her. You want to explore her depths. And the more she trusts you with those depths, the more she wants to give to you. Not just attention, not just affection, but access. Access to the version of her that's layered, thoughtful, and often hidden. That access is a privilege, and the moment she feels like you've earned it, not because you demanded it, but because you respected it, is the moment she begins to fall. Not because you told her what she wanted to hear, but because you told her what no one else even thought to say. That you love how her mind works, that you find her intellect not just admirable, but alluring. That being in conversation with her is one of your favorite places to be. That she's more than eye candy, she's mind candy. And that kind of woman doesn't forget the man who made her feel like her thoughts were treasure, ChatGPT said. This is one of the most unexpected compliments, and yet it touches something deep within her that few people even notice. When you tell a woman that she makes you feel calm, that being around her gives you peace, you're speaking to a part of her that longs to be more than just admired. She wants to be felt. She wants to know that her presence has an effect on the world around her. especially on the man who says he sees her. In a life full of noise, tension, and pressure, peace is a rare and sacred thing. So when you look into her eyes and tell her that she brings calm into your life, you're not just giving her a compliment, you're giving her significance. You're telling her that who she is, just by existing, just by being around you, shifts the emotional atmosphere. And that is one of the most profound acknowledgments you can give. She may not even realize the effect she has. She may think she's just being kind, just showing up, just doing what she does naturally. But when you name it, when you bring it to light, you anchor that experience in her mind. Suddenly, she's aware that you notice what others miss, that you feel something when she's around. Not chaos, not pressure, not demand, but a gentle kind of stillness that makes you breathe easier, think clearer, and feel more grounded.